find ourselves in Victoria speaking about threatened species. And Nick, managing threatened species in this state is very, very complex because they're very, very spread out. Some only live locally in the east, others in the west, others in the highlands.
Now, to manage that network of biodiversity, Vic Forests is looking at the state's forests more closely than ever before. The Victorian Forest Estate is massive, more than 7 million hectares, held variously in national parks, conservation reserves and state forest. It ranges widely in type and topography, from the ash forests of the Central Highlands to the mixed species bush closer to the coasts. Just 6% of the publicly owned estate is available for timber harvesting, but the job of protecting biodiversity is one that Vic Forests is constantly improving.
We're very keen to work on ensuring there's a balance between the need to protect environmental values and produce timber at the same time. So for us, we're looking to make sure if there are species found or present in sites planned for harvesting, then we're protecting those species and their habitat where required.
Harvesting a forest is a big responsibility, and one of the most important parts of that is the pre-planning that goes into it. Now that starts in the office with a desktop analysis and then heads out into the bush with some on-ground field assessment.
It is a complex and involved process which can take quite a period of time. Now, if at any time during that process new information or new values are identified, well, that sets in train a whole new raft of planning requirements.
One of the more intensive initiatives instigated by Vic Forests is a process of targeted pre-harvest fauna surveys. If an area contains features which might point to the presence of a threatened species, or if the on-ground survey turns up new evidence, Vic Forests will commission a targeted survey of the area looking for threatened animals.
So these surveys are actually proving to be really useful for informing us and also other government agencies about the presence of these threatened species. So this information that we're collecting, and we've collected a lot of information over the last 6 years, is actually going into understanding more about their distribution and hopefully then obviously their conservation in the long term.
Now, some of the things that will trigger a closer look include the presence of old growth or rainforest, evidence that threatened species live in the area, such as diggings or even previous reports that they live there.
Now, here in East Gippsland, for example, there are things such as the orbost spiny crayfish or the giant burrowing frog, Andrew. So bodies of water are of particular interest. Once Vic Forest staff determine that a targeted survey is warranted, that job is then farmed out to independent experts.
It's really important to us to have external consultants doing this work for us. We want to make sure there's an independence between Vic Forests and the surveys being done. So we're using external consultants that have knowledge and do this sort of work on a regular basis, so we can use their expertise and hopefully get the best possible outcome for us in terms of finding and protecting the species involved.
So Chella, this is one of the pre-harvest surveys that we're talking about. Just explain exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, sure. So today we're doing a survey for leadbeater's possum. So Mark has climbed up this tree basically to set a remote camera to look for the species. Leadbeater's possums are arboreal marsupials. They live mainly in tree canopy. And so this will detect them moving around.
Mark Cashmore is one of the independent experts engaged in delivering these targeted surveys.
So we need to choose a tree in a location that we think is suitable. It needs to be at a height that's suited to the possums. They move through the canopy where the canopy is dense, and so this area is suitable. We wouldn't put it up higher here where there's no connectivity, so we'll put the camera up. Then quite nearby we'll put up a bait. We use creamed honey for the baits, and this will be on a tree at no more than 3 metres away.
And so far, the success of the Leadbeater's Possum Survey program has exceeded expectations, with results of Vic Forest surveys contributing to the detection of almost 300 new colonies in the last few years.
This is a newish program for us. We've been doing it for maybe 5 or 6 years now, and we've been tailoring that as we go to make sure we're using the best available methods and technology. And we're finding really good results. We've been able to detect a range of species. That's resulted in areas being excluded from harvesting. But as I said, it's also given us the opportunity to go and harvest safely in the knowledge that those species aren't present on the sites where we're working.
The targeted survey is triggered when specific evidence is found which suggests threatened species may be present in an area, and in Victoria there is a diverse collection of animals which require threatened species protection.
So we target a wide range of different species in our pre-harvest surveys. So arboreal marsupials, large forest owls like the powerful owl, masked owl and the sooty owl. We also look for amphibians, so there's a wide range of threatened amphibian species. We also look for things like long-footed potteroo, spot-tailed quoll and also leadbeater's possum. So they're kind of the key groups that we do surveys for.
For the ecologists conducting these surveys, these are basically the tools of the trade. First and foremost is this. It is the infrared camera, which is traditionally strapped to a tree and triggered by motion in the forest canopy.
Makes surveying easy.
This is tried and true. This is the spotlight, obviously, to help you see the forest in the dark.
Yes, indeed, you can spot all sorts of animals like that. This is a megaphone. Imagine if you could talk to the animals. Well, that's what I do. I just sit here very quietly in the bush, press play, and good grief.
That, believe it or not, is the call of an owl.
Yes.
One of the most important lessons to come out of the Vic Forest Targeted Survey program over the past 6 years is the value of actually looking for these species. These surveys have not only found greater numbers of animals than expected, but also increased our knowledge of their habits and where they live.
We've found a wide range of different species, but also really high rates, which is really exciting. So long-footed potteroo, for example, we've found over 100 animals, and we've actually even found that species outside of its known range, so habitat range. Some of the techniques that we're using, particularly the remote survey technique with the cameras, means that we're finding animals that are very shy, quite cryptic species that you wouldn't normally find, but these methods are allowing us to detect these animals.
The results are changing the way we think about some species, particularly in regard to where they live and what attracts them to certain areas. One of the ecological benefits of forestry is the fact that different forest age classes emerge through the harvest rotation cycle.
It's quite promising that we're finding a range of different species in different age classes, and particularly with the leadbeater's possum, there's many examples of finding them in 1980s or 1990s regrowth forest. So that's something that was quite unexpected. So we're really keen to keep looking into that and trying to understand a bit more about the species ecology.
So it is dark, night has fallen, and there is a chill here in the air in the forests of East Gippsland. But Andrew, we are on the hunt. We're searching for evidence of a population of yellow-bellied or greater gliders.
It's important work too, because if a certain number of a certain species is found in this area, then up to 100 hectares will be protected from harvest. And this is the reality of what a targeted survey means. It means people walking through the bush every night while we, you and I, are tucked up at home on the couch watching TV.
And the results speak for themselves. In the case of the long-footed potteroo, for example, targeted surveys have found more than 100 individuals with almost 2,000 hectares of reserve areas set aside from harvest. These surveys have also detected sooty owls, powerful owls and spot-tailed quolls. Spot-tailed quolls in particular are an extremely rare find due to their elusive nature. There have also been yellow-bellied gliders, greater gliders, spiny crayfish and threatened frog species found and protected through Vic Forest targeted species surveys.
Balancing forest biodiversity and the demand for timber production is one of the key responsibilities of Vic Forests. 6% of the state's publicly owned forests are available for timber production, and less than 0.5% is actually harvested each year. All harvest areas undergo rigorous pre-planning, and a targeted survey will be triggered when specific evidence of threatened species is found.
These surveys are carried out by independent experts using a range of techniques. If they find threatened animals, new reserves are created and these areas excluded from harvest. For more information, head to vicforests.com.au.